Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today I'll be checking out a track from an act named Christian Stutzig featuring Soundmare titled Soccer Song Black, Red, Gold Forever. And if we switch over to here, I've already prematurely got the track in full screen. This is on YouTube through Christian Stutzig Records' YouTube page. We're going to listen through this track from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. So I'm assuming that this is about like football, right? I like the applause, the clapping's kind of dope. Great atmosphere.
Let's get ready. We take the victory, stand together. We've learned to train a lot. We learn from our mistakes. We're now ready. We get the win.
It's a very somber affair, isn't it?
The battle one wins. Stands in our way. We show them where to go. We show them their place. Black, red, gold forever.
I mean, I like the major resolution there, but it's a very serious song with piano keys, the minor triads, and the way that it's sung, you know, the inflections. It's almost got a weird sort of spirituality to it.
No enemy too strong. We do what we set out to do. All that matters is what happens in the field. We're now ready. We get the win. No cheap tricks. The battle one wins. No one stands in our way. Show them where to go.
The tone of the drums sounds like it should be in like a metal song. The drums are very aggressive, and I'm wondering if we couldn't have had like some distorted guitars just for that passion, you know?
Show them their place. Black, red, gold forever.
I show them their place, black, red, gold forever. Sounds like you're wanting to put that second place team in their place, if you know what I mean.
No matter how hard it gets, we can do anything. That's how it's played. We're on our way. We're now ready. We get the win. No cheap tricks. The battle one wins. No one stands in our way. We show them where to go. We show them their place. Black, red, gold forever.
I like the flams on the toms though, the snare drums. I think the percussion is great. I do like the piano motifs and the vocals, but I like how solid and reliable the percussion is, if that makes sense.
Show them where to go. Show them their place. Black, red, gold forever.
Like, we're very confident with that piano motif here. There's a little bit of neutrality to the keys, of course. I think maybe it's the mistiness of the reverb that's kind of making it a little bit emotionally ambiguous. But yeah, that's basically the track, Black, Red, Gold Forever by Christian Stutzig featuring Soundmare. And this is the conclusion of my review of this track. What do I think that Black, Red, Gold Forever is about? I think it's about someone basically talking about their team. Maybe it's like a football team and having passion for it and wanting them to stake their claim and do really well in the championship or wherever they're going with that. It's about a sort of a patriotism thing, a fundamental like appreciation, love, and care and respect for their team. And I kind of dig the direction we're going in here. I don't think that I've heard because I've reviewed a lot of Christian Stutzig stuff. I haven't really heard a football related song yet. but that's cool. We got that today. No real complaints about that. I'm happy with what we've heard so far. From a story perspective anyways, I mean, I think it's fairly easy to sort of follow along to what we're talking about within this tale. I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to it and get behind it. So the story is absolutely fine. The vocal performance, I do like the note choices that we had. The melodies were great on their own if I look at it from like its own unique component within isolated, I suppose. I think that some of the vocal runs with the tails and legato passages we had were great. What I would say is that we sounded like we were mourning something, and that isn't a criticism so much as just a feeling that the way the vocals were performed made me feel. There was a hope but a trepidation at the same time with how I experienced the story that was being told there. And that's a weird thing to me, because I feel like with the passion that you'd have with this track, it would be something you'd be more sort of like stronger and more sort of assertive, or maybe even aggressive or prominent about. I just don't necessarily know that the emotions that the singer showed, the feel, the vibe, the zazz of it, I don't know if that accurately reflected what was going on in that tale, where the passion and the kind of the grace and the that kind of pep to move forward, whether they were equal in both. But at the same time, individually, at the very least, I can appreciate what was going on with the singing parts in the story, and it's cool, man. I mean, the track itself at 3.5 minutes is within that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, so that's good. And I think that the combination of the drum, not a combination, the drums sounded fantastic by themselves, although they sounded like they should have been like a heavier kind of rock or metal track there. But they nonetheless had great presence in the mix, and I enjoyed some of the minimalism in regards to how it kept everything else in the track moving forward. They were pocketing a little bit. They could have done more, but they decided not to. And I like the fact that they are respectful of the other elements of the composition. The piano alongside the vocals was basically the focal point here. So the keys providing that sort of mid-range sort of foundation, the color in the mix. While I did like that there was some major triads in there that was a resolve to the major, I can't help but feel as though I don't know if the way the piano was played, the chord choices, the progressions, etc., necessarily matched the story. It was almost like nostalgic for when we did feel like that, if that makes sense. I didn't get the feeling that you were like, yeah, absolutely, we're going to put them in their place, etc. I don't know whether that was the legit intent of it, or whether there's like a double layer to it, because there could well be a double layer to it. It's just when you've got Soccer Song, Black Red Gold Forever, I suppose I'm just looking for something a little more upbeat. I think the drums had a lot of energy to them. I think the piano, maybe a little bit less mistiness with it, maybe some higher range notes with a bit more clarity and kind of sheen in the mix. It's just the fundamental ideas by themselves. They worked well by themselves. I'm happy with what we were doing with like the piano on its own, exclusive of everything else. It's just trying to get these elements within a composition to work together. It's an interesting choice to put the kind of tone of piano there that we had with the drums, with the vocals, with the story. And I'm sure we had a bass line in there, and that was real respectful of the chord progressions and stuff. I'm just not sure if the theme itself in general matched the story. I think this is one of those rare situations where I feel a sense of disconnect between the theme, which sounded like kind of sad and very somber and like almost like we were healing from something. I don't know if that necessarily matched what was going on with the story and the vocals. And because of that, again, that sense of disconnection, I'm not sure if I felt a sense of pleasure or satisfaction from the experience. As a listener, I'm trying to connect the dots. And it's very important that the various elements of the mix make sense together and they connect intently. And that's what makes a great song. And while I appreciate there's a lot of positive stuff going on within this track, I'm just not sure if as a whole it was what it needed to be in order to really sort of wow me. Still, again, I don't think there was a note out of place in regards to the approach that we took with it. It's just this very subjective thing, but those are my thoughts on it anyways. I think there could have been more energy in the motif to kind of replicate the story. And if we were going to go with the story with the vocals needed a bit more oomph as well to kind of match the energy levels and the intensity of those. Of the lyrics. But moving on to this recording, mixing, and mastering, the studio production, I'm actually really stoked with how it sounded. I think the leveling of the various elements of the mix, including like the pianos, the bass, the drums, etc., were great. I think it was fantastic. No issues picking out what was what. The vocals were nice and present and well filtered and EQ'd. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field, such as the drums and of course the piano with the stereo wide and stereo width on the left and right hands. And it was nice and loud without pumping, but also there was dynamic range to it, but also the leveling in general was great, and there were no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. It's just an unusual experience for me. Like, I think the studio production is some of the strongest I've heard from Christian Stutzig, and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to listen to his continued growth as an artist, as a performer, as a producer, because we're really seeing some positive stuff here. I'm just not sure if I was super duper satisfied with how it all came together in general, and I think that for future songs, if we can find a way to kind of get the theme to match the lyrics, to match the story, the vocals, we will have a stronger track. Outside of that, though, I don't think there were any sort of like major issues. I'm really happy otherwise with what I heard today, because this is my review of Soccer Song Black, Red, Gold Forever from Christian Stutzig featuring Soundmare. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show us some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.